Welcome back to the TWU Local 591 podcast. My name is Gary Scheibel, your local president. This is our weekly membership video update podcast. Joining me today is your vice president, Brian Coyne. And we'll get right into it with the benefits update. So, 2 items from Tony Lepore this week. So, members who enrolled in voluntary union benefits, a reminder that you have an app that you can use to answer benefit questions, submit claims, etc. It's called ProLogix. Click on the TWU Local 591 Voluntary Benefits Service Contact on the homepage of Local 591's website. On that benefits page, you'll find the ProLogix link on the upper right corner, which walks you through how to install the ProLogix app and how to use it. I'll get into the ASAP compliance update. So it was discovered by an alert member that some of the new first-class seats, there is a training that is required before an AMT can work on and repair those new first-class seats. The training requirement is in the CMM warnings. ASAP coordinator Joe Absalom verified that it is an issue currently with the A321 XLR aircraft, and we are investigating if there are other situations like this we have not yet discovered. AMT board member Mark Earl wanted to remind our members that virtually everything that we work on has a manual, and we need to comply with it. Get that manual or those manuals, read the manuals. That's really the key takeaway, and comply with those manuals 100% in accordance with every time. Brian?
Safety. The bump cap beta program is rolling out soon on the line. The requirement will add bump caps to when AMTs are in a blossomed engine or an open APU compartment. We recommend whenever working outside under the shadow of the aircraft. As a reminder, bump caps are another form of PPE, and management should not be just handing them out. Employees should check them out, just like any PPE that is needed, and not some management blanket distribution. Spill response is again becoming an issue. As a reminder, for any spill response above when you are specifically trained to handle, you need to contact your site management environmental coordinator and have them handle the spill response. Do not expose yourself and others to exposure risk by attempting to respond to a spill that is outside your trained level. We at Local 591 want everyone to come to work safe, be at work safe, and also get home to their families and loved ones safely. Please take time to do the job right, follow safety procedures, and protect yourselves and your fellow workers. I give my grievance update, Gary. Working with Workforce Admin Manager Denise Jennings on related issues of the company not providing necessary overtime and field trip documentation when stewards investigating grievances. The reason this has become an issue is because we're trying to sit there and we can handle the grievance at the lowest possible levels, not to sit there and go all the way up to second step to sit there and verify it's agreements or not agreements. So we need that documentation. More to come after meeting with her in the next few weeks. So we'll sit there and go from there. It's actually nice that she reached out to me. On the 19 Alpha arbitration, the documents, transcripts, and closing briefs are all with the arbitrator and the 2 panelists. Now the arbitration process is in their hands. There is no set time for when the arbitrator issues the final ruling, but a general rule of thumb is it often takes at least 1 or 2 months, and we rarely see any updates on the progress of the case until the final ruling is issued.
All right, thanks. So let me give Chris Horvath's field trip updates. For the week of April 3rd, 32 line field trips and 10 base field trips. Chris also visited Austin and discovered engine blade replacement qualification issues and training assignments with LMO. Station management has indicated that they are requesting more training to get more AMTs qualified to accomplish engine blade removal and replacement, to keep that line work in-house in Austin instead of field trips. Management also now understands that training is a work assignment, and all work assignments go through the crew chief and are to be put in LMO, so it's documented as assigned work in LMO. Let me give it an update on some of the membership meetings and station visits. So some of the board had the opportunity to travel to New York, LaGuardia, and JFK airports this past week to visit the floor, discuss safety and compliance, and get feedback from the members. We definitely appreciate the warm welcome, great participation, great questions. We gain a lot of items and issues to follow up with management on from these discussions, info that sometimes doesn't come out in the more formal meeting settings. The next scheduled meetings or floor walks will be in the West region in Phoenix. That'll be around April 15th or so. More to come as we firm up the dates and details there. Brian?
Thanks, Gary. Management pressure. So we've had a lot of discussions on management pressure in the workplace. So one thing is we can sit there, if you feel pressured, just sit there doing this task, not approve manuals. They want the EA done without the EA being documented in writing that you have in your hand. We'll sit there and tell you to file an ASAP, right? So you file an ASAP, get with your RVP. We have documented language to sit there and go to these pressures of management. This is something that is actually discussed every single station that we go to. Personnel files. You have the right to sit there and review your personnel files. Get with Stuart and actually go in there and actually request to view your personnel file. So if there's something in your personnel file that doesn't match what actually should be, that you got your letter that you got handed, for example, a coach and counsel level 1, it should read exact. There are cases out there where this language is not exact what you were handed and what was in your P file. So please make sure that you're aware of what your P file states when you actually get these coaching councils and the levels, because it can make a difference. I will sit there and say some stations are formal and informal the way they do this, but no matter what, you have a right to a rebuttal. So you can sit there and put in a rebuttal, because if they send it out FedEx or you're not aware, they sit there and just hand you a piece of paper for a coach and counsel. But make sure your P file is exact what it says, what you were handed.
All right, very good. Let me move on to aircraft airworthiness release and protections. As a reminder, we spoke to this many times in the past on podcasts, and we also have an audio podcast over on our audio site on the same topic too. So as we previously discussed, the aircraft release is primarily a crew chief task. If a crew chief needs to assign the airworthiness release to a qualified AMT, they need to put in an LMO. Whenever the release is assigned, it's a work task like all other work tasks, and needs to be properly assigned by the crew chiefs. Crew chiefs need to remember that you're the last line of defense for ensuring 100% compliance, and that anytime you offload that work to an AMT, the company is likely watching, tracking that LMO themselves. AMTs, if you are assigned the aircraft release, be aware that in Article 7H7, only AMT crew chiefs, if needed, will be provided company legal representation if an issue arises from the accomplishment of an aircraft release. Brian?
The IAM and OJT program in ORD.
Yeah, so they filed a grievance on this.
They filed a presidential 33B on this. So this is actually crew chiefs, not a mentoring, not an OJT coupon, helping with the new hires, because we hired so many new hires to go out there and show them what their bid, what their city, where everything's at, how to get everywhere, where your tires are, where your O2 bottles, everything. So we also did it with shifts. So day shift, afternoons, night shift, so they actually know terminal, hangar, what their locations are, what they're expected to do, and how it actually, what they will be doing. How, why, where. Yep. So we did have something that came up before where a mechanic only worked the hangar. Probation, he got called for overtime in the terminal. He was afraid to sit there and go down there. So this is actually your city, new hires coming in there. We're giving them a jump start. That's it. But it's not a mentorship. No crew chief is being displaced. It's temporary crew chiefs that are actually doing this voluntarily to sit there and help promote the new hires, promote our trade.
Yep. And to be clear, we were not consulted or notified by the IAM prior to them filing a 33B grievance on this. So, finally, a reminder, we do have a Facebook page, and obviously you'll be viewing this on the YouTube page. So as always, please subscribe to them and get notifications when the new information is posted. So that is our podcast for this week. Anything else, Brian?
No, that's all I got. Thanks, Gary. Thanks, everybody.
All right. So as always, any thoughts, issues, suggestions for future podcasts, please send them to info@local591.com. Hope you all have a great week, and please be safe.
Thanks.